on Wednesday, held its 99th meeting at the Executive Council Chambers, Government House, Yenagoa. The meeting was presided over by His Excellency, the Honorable Henry Seriake Dickson, Governor of Bayelsa State. After hours of deliberation, mainly on the current security situation in the state, the Council resolved as follows. 1, that we condemn in strong terms the worsening security situation in the state, occasioned by the frequent change of police commissioners, ostensibly for political reasons. 2, that the erratic deployment of security operatives across the country, particularly to states in opposition, like in the case of Bayelsa, with no less than 8 commissioners of police in the last 3 months, calls for serious concern and demands the need for urgent action to be taken to address the situation. 3, that as a government, we view this action as highly subversive, one that is capable of threatening the existing peaceful, harmonious, united, conducive environment that the restoration government has worked so hard to put in place, which has also ushered in rapid and massive development in the state. 4, indeed, it is an act of subversion bordering on treason for security heads to give control of security agencies to former Governor Timipre Silva, the Junior Minister of Agric, Heineken Lukobri, and their cohorts who are using the ruling party at the center to undermine the security of the state. This is more so that these persons are known to have criminal tendencies and are clearly working with criminal elements and cultists in the state. To this end, we wish to state as follows: that here in Bayelsa we have a lawfully and legitimately constituted government in place with a mandate to ensure peace and provide for the security, safety, and stability of the state. And as such, we will not condone or allow anybody, no matter how highly placed, to get away with acts of subversion. 5, we therefore call on citizens of our state to be wary of the subversive tendencies of some persons who have all in the name of politics set out to create and carry actions that are intended to undermine the security and stability of our state. All Bayelsans must be alert and be ready to reject the return of the deadly Operation Famutangbe in whatever guise, shape, or form. We will also not allow Operation Doapo, which was created by the restoration government and which in the last 7 years has earned the respect, trust, and confidence of our people as a reliable, professional, quick response, and credible fighting outfit, devoid of politics, to be rubbished by anyone. Those who want to terrorize our people should set up their own crime-fighting outfits, like they did with Operation Famutangbe. But let it be put on record that on our part, we will continue to do all in our power to keep our state safe and secure. 6, we wish to send a clear note of warning to all that in the interest of peace, even as the election draw near, that this state is bigger than every one of us, and nobody, no matter how highly placed, will be spared from facing the wrath of the law if found wanting. Those who are interested in taking control of the state by seeking to undermine the security should be ready to face the consequence of their action, and should be ready to face the consequence of their actions should there be any breakdown of law and order. 7, Council wishes to call on the political leadership and other key players in the nation's political space to give the requisite attention to the sustenance of peace that the state government has enthroned, and avoid acts that could truncate it through subversive means, as shown in the incessant deployment of police chiefs. 8, that the exploitation of state security apparatus to harass and intimidate perceived political opponents is not healthy for our states. It is simply a display of excessive use of political power, which will be challenged by our government. 9, we hereby call on the federal government and the heads of all security agencies in the country to respect the authority of the state government and refrain from doing anything that will jeopardize the peace, order, and stability of the state. 10, we also call on Bayelsans to be law-abiding and peaceful, even in the face of provocative actions by those who are said to be enemies of peace and stability of the state. 11, we wish to express our profound appreciation to youth groups, the leadership and members of the State Vigilante Service and volunteers, community leaders and all other stakeholders for rising to the challenge and apprehending criminal elements who are out to destabilize our state. Finally, His Excellency the Governor will formally convey the position of the government for the opting time to the President for appropriate action. We will also commence appropriate legal actions to defend the authority of the government of the state. I want to thank you for your time. God bless you. Okay, thank you. The first question wanted the government's response to the recent killing of Nikade. Our position as a government is that these killings, before Nikade there was Safer, and who knows, there might be several others. Nikade came to our attention, just like Safer came to our attention as a result of the public outcry. We are saying clearly that these killings are becoming rampant since the arrival of this new commissioner of police. And that's why we raised the issue, and it's a serious concern that in a state like Bayelsa that has been adjudged as one of the most peaceful states in this country, in actual fact, if you look at the crime index of states across the country, Bayelsa is one of the least. We're not the one judging ourselves. It is the security agencies themselves that are judging us based on crime statistics across the country. And for quite some time, our state has been adjudged as one of the most peaceful. Then you ask yourself, for a state that is adjudged as one of the most peaceful, why is it that in the last couple of weeks that we are now beginning to experience worsening security situation in Bayelsa? And it started with these frequent changes of police commissioners. And our position as a government is that certain people are hiding under the ruling party, the APC, to politicize security. They like to play politics with security. And once we do that, we'll begin to have the kind of killings that we've been having. And that's why, as a government, we decided that we need to come out to make a strong statement, like we have done now, and like we have done with previous statements before now. You will recall that the House of Assembly sat and came up with a resolution like this only last week. On this same matter, the Bayelsa elders also issued a statement. Bayelsa belongs to every one of us. Those who are interested in playing politics with the lives of Bayelsans, we all have a duty to rise up and condemn such people, especially when they hide under the federal government. The worst thing is that a number of them don't even stay here. Those who are doing this, remote controlling everything about security in Bayelsa, they are not even here. They are in Abuja, they are in Lagos. Out of their own self-seeking and their own political, whatever agenda they have, they want to undermine the security of the state. And as a government, we're saying we will not allow that. So in direct response to your question, our heart goes out to the families of the victim, not just Nikade. Nikade, yes, and Seifa, but there are several others who are killed on a daily basis. The one of Nikade, the police had come out to own up. And I believe very strongly that as journalists, you have a duty to follow up. Since the police has owned up, then they should also take up the responsibility of ensuring that some form of compensation be given to the family. Really, frankly speaking, what sort of compensation can you give to a family that has lost a promising young man, an NDU student in 300 level, engineering student? This is a young Bayelsa, the hope of our state. So, as journalists, I think the police should, you have a duty to follow up with the police to do the needful. It's not enough to own up, it's not enough to sack the officer and to claim that you have also started process for his prosecution. The police need to do much more. But for us, we don't want another Nikade or another Seifa. That is why as a government we are taking this strong position that we are taking. And we've been taking this position over the years. Bayelsa is unlike other states, and you know those states in the north where there are more or less like a genocide going on there. And yet in those states where you have killings on a daily basis with Boko Haram and Fulani headsmen and all whatnot, they don't change their police commissioners at the whim like they have done in Bayelsa. 8 police commissioners within the last 3 months. I think that's appalling, it's reprehensible, and we believe that this is done to undermine the security of the state, to serve the interests of some desperate, disgruntled politicians who are just out to grab power for power's sake without minding that it is taking the lives of our young people, the same young people or the same Bayelsans that you claim you want to serve. We shouldn't play politics with security. And this government over time made it very clear, even His Excellency from his inaugural address, made it very clear that he will not play politics with security. And Bayelsans have seen us in the last 6 going to 7 years now that we have done everything possible to maintain the peace. And so that's our position. Enough is enough regarding the death toll of young people particularly taking place in our state. The second question talk about the withdrawal of Duakpo. And why has it taken so long, if I hear him correctly, for us to come up with a resolution like this? I would refrain from answering any question regarding Duakpo. But what I do know is that Duakpo, as a crime-fighting outfit set up by this government since 2012, has earned the respect, trust, and confidence of our people. And we don't want the security apparatus in Abuja and those who claim that they are leaders operating under whatever guise in Abuja to turn Duakpo to another operation for Mutangwe. We believe very strongly that Duakpo has served the people and will continue to serve our people, since they claim that they have all the answers to all the security situation in Bayelsa. I believe very strongly that as a government, we will not fold our hands and allow lawlessness and brigandage. So I will refrain from answering questions about Duakpo, but let me assure Bayelsans that their safety and their security is uppermost. And we will do all in our power as a government. And that's why the last Executive Council meeting primarily focused on the issue of security. And that's because we have observed the situation. As a government, we have concern because this government has invested massively in security. And we can't watch that investment go down the drain because certain people somewhere want to play politics with it. And so, I believe that answers your question about how long, why it took us so long. And so long is relative because we need to hold Executive Council meeting. But before then, government has been issuing statements on the issue of security. Even when Safer, the young Safer was killed, we issued a strong statement condemning it. So it's wrong for you to say it took us so long. But to underscore how important this is, our 99th Executive Council meeting dwelt mainly on the issue of security so that we can re-strategize, particularly with Duakpo, and see how we can better safeguard the lives and properties of our people. I believe the last question here talked about it's as though we are, as a government, we are sounding helpless. This government is not helpless. We're doing all we can as a government, and like any right-thinking government will do, to sound the warning. Because unknown to a number of people, when you have a situation like the ones we have in our hands right now, the worsening security situation, and you say, oftentimes people call government, and oftentimes they say the governor is the chief security officer of the state. A chief security officer of the state where the police commissioner of the state does not report to him but report to the IG. As a government, the best we can do, because we have seen a trend, those of you who have been long with us in this state will know that over time, say even in 2015, the politics of changing commissioners of police, when you have such frequent changes, does a lot to hamper the security architecture of the state. And because of such changes, especially with what we have seen, is the reason why we are seeing the worsening situation of security in the state. So we're not helpless. But what we can do, given the circumstance, is to sound a note of warning. If you look at the last item in the council resolution I read to you, said His Excellency will, for the opting time again, take up this issue with the President. like he has done severally. He has gone to Abuja, he has met with the president to discuss this same issue about security. And we're not stopping there. From the resolution I just read to you, we're going to be over and above that to take appropriate legal actions. Because that's what we must do as a government. We're not helpless. We must give our people the confidence that they need at this critical point in time, particularly at the time when elections are around the corner. We have done so much to salvage the security of the states. Before 2012, a number of you, those of you who are here in Bayelsa, people closed their shops and their businesses at 5 o'clock. There was no nightlife whatsoever until the restoration government came and launched Operation Doakpo, and we brought sanity. And before you knew it, nightlife returned. Businesses that ran away from this state started coming back. From the look of things, another election is around the corner, and these same actors are back with the same strategy to undermine the security of this state, just because they feel, because they have federal might, they can use the security to render our government impotent. But we are doing everything we can, first to sound the alarm to our people, because our people need to know, to sound the alarm to our people, to let them know that people with inordinate ambition are doing everything possible to undermine the security of the state. And all of us as Bayelsans must rise up. And we want to thank Bayelsans. What we have seen in rounding up, let me quickly say, that's why we took our time to appreciate the state vigilante and volunteer service. I hope you're aware that it took the state's vigilante service to apprehend the killers of Seifa. Not the police. But we believe very strongly that we need the police. We need to work with all the security agencies in this state to maintain the peace in this state, but not for the police or the security agencies to be used against the people because of politics. I'd like to end here. I believe I've answered all your questions. And thank you once again for taking the time. God bless you.